The Śūraṅgama Sutra, Volume 5, 42. When I came out of concentration, my body was as it had been before. I encountered limitless Buddhas and cultivated in that way until the coming of the Tathagata, king of masterful penetrations of mountains and seas. Then I finally had no body. My nature and the seas of fragrant waters throughout the 10 directions were identical with true emptiness, without any duality or difference. Now I am with the Tathagata and am known as a pure youth, and I have joined the assembly of bodhisattvas. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. By means of the nature of water, I penetrated through to the flow of a single flavor, obtained patience with the non-production of dharmas, and reached the perfection of bodhi. That is the foremost means. The Dharma Prince Vaidurya Light arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I can still remember back through eons as many as sand grains in the Ganges, to the time of a Buddha named Limitless Sound, who instructed the bodhisattvas that fundamental enlightenment is wonderful and bright. He taught them to contemplate this world and all the beings' physical bodies as being false conditions propelled by the power of wind. At that time I contemplated the position of the world and regarded the passage of time in the world. I reflected on the motion and stillness of my body. I considered the arising of thoughts in my mind. There was no difference among all these kinds of motion. They were all the same. I then understood that the nature of movement does not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere. Every single material particle throughout the 10 directions, and every deluded being, is of the same empty falseness. Eventually the beings in each of the worlds of the 3,000 great thousand world system were like so many mosquitoes confined in a vessel, droning monotonously. Caught in those few square inches, their hum built to a maddening crescendo. Not long after I encountered the Buddha, I attained patience with non-existence of beings and dharmas. My mind then opened, and I could see the country of the Buddha unmoving in the east. I became a Dharma prince and served the Buddhas of the 10 directions. My body and mind emit a light that makes them completely clear and translucent. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. I contemplated the power of wind as lacking anything to rely on, awakened to the body-heart and entered samadhi, meshing with the single wonderful heart transmitted by all the Buddhas of the 10 directions. That is the foremost means. Akashagarbha, treasury of emptiness, bodhisattva, arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, the Tathagata and I attained boundless bodies when with the Buddha's samadhi light. At that time I held in my hands 4 huge precious pearls, which shone on Buddha lands as many as atoms of universe in the 10 directions, transforming them into emptiness. In my mind there appeared a great, perfect mirror, and from it issued forth 10 kinds of subtle, wonderful, precious light that poured out into the 10 directions to the farthest bounds of emptiness. All the royal lands adorned with banners were reflected in this mirror and passed through my body. This interaction was totally unhindered because my body was like emptiness. Because my mind had become completely compliant, I could enter with ease as many countries as there are atoms of universe, and could do the Buddha's work on a wide scale. I achieved this great spiritual power from contemplating in detail how the 4 elements lack any reliance, how the arising and ceasing of false thoughts is no different from emptiness, how all the Buddha lands are basically the same. Once I realized this identity, I obtained patience with the non-existence of beings and dharmas. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. I use the contemplation of the boundlessness of emptiness to enter samadhi and attain wonderful power and perfect clarity. That is the foremost means. Maitreya Bodhisattva arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I remember when, as many eons ago as there are atoms of universe, a Buddha named Light of Sun, Moon, and Lamp appeared in the world. Under that Buddha, I left the home life. Yet I was deeply committed to worldly fame and liked to associate with people of good families. Then the Bhagavan taught me to cultivate consciousness-only concentration, and I entered that samadhi. For many eons I have made use of that samadhi as I served as many Buddhas as there are sand grains in the Ganges. My seeking for worldly name and fame ceased completely and never recurred. When Burning Lamp Buddha appeared in the world, I finally accomplished the unsurpassed, wonderfully perfect samadhi of consciousness.